United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, approval of agenda, section 3. This is 3.1, approval of tonight's meeting agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda approved. 3.2, action item from closed session. This is to approve the closed session minutes from 10:21. Need a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? I'm sorry, actually, individual.
Rush.
Yes.
Max.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Bryant.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. All right, also, we have a resolution from closed session that will be coming up for vote that I do need to read. The resolution, whereas the Board of Education has received reports from the superintendent regarding the performance of Mark Sassafaro, a custodian in this district, and whereas it is the recommendation of the superintendent that Mark Sassafaro's employment should not be continued, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education does hereby determine that the employment of Mark shall terminate as of November 19th, 2019. The Board of Education hereby further authorizing and directing the President and Secretary to give Mark written notice of such termination. I need a motion to approve that resolution.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ashley?
Maddox.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Rush.
Yes.
Worley. Yes. Bryant.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. Section 4, communications. We have some state champions with us tonight. I think first up is GMS softball state champion. Yeah.
One of the good problems to have is trying to figure out which state championship signs to rotate off of the street signs. And it seems like we get to do that very often in this community. And you guys, both softball, cross country, you guys work really hard all year long, and we're so proud of you. And wanted to take this opportunity to recognize you. And first, we're going to recognize softball, and I'm going to bring up Coach McDevitt. And give him an opportunity to say just a couple words. And then before you go, I think we're going to also get some pictures and make sure you guys get certificates as well.
Stand over there. Lisa, show them how it's done.
Well,
Your return. Show them how it's done.
I'm just so proud of these kids. They work like we so hard, and I'm not really prepared to speak, but they are incredible players and people, and how they represented themselves was just tremendous. So you guys are awesome.
Do you want to just picture first? Do you want to talk about cross country first? How do you?
Let's go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead and do softball.
Yeah,
and then we'll do
Okay.
that.
Softball goes. You guys want to come up here? We'll give you your certificates. You guys
Girls, spread out.
How they working? Devin Spencer. Sophie Skaggs. Becca Riggle. Kaylee Rimbush. Braylon Phillips. Cameron Patterson. Joey Hobbs. Jenna Hazard. Tara Aaron Griffin. Katie Fell. Cassie Fell. Molly Cassio. Kit Bryant.
Yes.
Kayla Bruner. And Elena Brockway. Did I get choose to someone? Okay.
Two of them.
No, I'm missing the two Grace and Elizabeth.
And Halen Mary.
Okay.
It's the letter B. You're missing the letter B.
I'll get your names.
Squeeze in.
Molly, Kit, Bob, down front.
That's just a given, right?
We'll do one with paper, right? Girls, hold up! Girls! Principal's orders. I got
Alright, moving to 4-2, we also have GMS Girls Cross Country State
And Coach Staley cannot be here tonight, but Coach Bernstein and Coach Boston are over there, and so Coach Boston is going to say a few words on behalf of Cross Country.
All right. I'm prepared. On October 19th, the Glenwood Middle School girls earned their 6th cross-country state title in the past 13 years. We placed 3 all-state runners in the meet, with Lydia Guernsey placing 24th. Elise Pistachio placing 11th. And Ava Goria placing 9th in her 3rd straight all-state honor. She's only the 3rd person in the history of our team to ever do that all 3 years. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, she was in the top 25. During we won our meets at regionals, the Big 12 invite, the Kingsley invite. We got 2nd place at Parkside invite, 4th place at East Peoria invite. For those of you who do not know cross country, these invites have anywhere from 15 to 40 teams. So to come in first, to even come in 2nd place is amazing. And I will say, not only on our varsity side, but in our open event, we would place at least 10 in the top 20 every single meet. So these girls did awesome. Our members include, do you want me to say their names now? Okay. We've got Cameron Robbins, Stella Evans, Rowan Law, Rachel Behrens, Allie Knutson, Rylan Law, Lydia Guernsey, Ava Gorey, Maddie, sorry, I almost called you by your nickname, Maddie Wanacke, and Elise Pistachio. So that's our team. They did really awesome. And you guys come up and we'll give you your certificates. I'll know that if it's it's not ours.
Wow, girl.
All for cross country.
Thanks, you know what?
I don't have to dunk.
We let them go.
I did not. You need Yeah, we can just see
Yep, thank you.
Maybe not.
Forgot him, chair.
All right, 4-3, Mike, I think you're up.
My presentation is probably not going to be here. Rest of the class.
Yeah, we wait to say if there's folks in the hallway, we can come in. Wait a second, Mike. All right, Mike, go ahead.
All right, this is the 2019-20 annual facilities and grounds report. The period covers actually last fiscal year, July 1, 2018 to June 30. Our mission statement is to provide a safe, clean, and comfortable environment as conducive to teaching and learning. Pretty simple. We want to make our areas comfortable for our students and teachers. Maintenance goals, continue to execute work requests using school due. Support facility and grounds operations by managing projects and supplies. Continue to support leadership-specific requests. Improve preventive maintenance of district assets through staffing recommendations. I'll cover that a little bit later. Provide annual and periodic professional development using Global Compliance Network, GCN, and other training entities. Some of our, the way we classify our work requests, we have 4 different categories. First one is the emergency requests, and these are those requests that could cause property loss, bodily injury, or considered to be life-threatening. If we get into a situation like that, we don't mess around with it. We respond to it 24 hours a day. We have an on-call person who will respond to it, whatever it is. The second category, as far as priorities go, health, life, safety. These violations are identified through the ROE, state fire marshal, local fire department, and inspection, licensed architects involved as well. The next category is routine maintenance. These are those jobs that we get every day. No heat in my classroom, no cooling, walk-in cooler's not working. These are everyday requests, and those are considered routine maintenance. The next category, preventive maintenance, and these are work requests that are automatically generated through our school route system, and they're kicked out on a certain frequency. So it's a 3-month preventive maintenance, say a rooftop air conditioner or a boiler or whatever the case is. These things are kicked out every year at the same time. So it's a 3-month, a 6-month, or whatever it is. These things are automatically kicked out depending on the frequency of that particular piece of equipment. Some of our maintenance challenges, as we all know, we have aging facilities and equipment that receives minimal preventive maintenance, and I'll get into that in a little bit. Aging maintenance vehicles, for an example, we have a box truck right now that we use to deliver all kinds of stuff, paper, sporting equipment, furniture. We move it all over the district wherever it's needed. That truck right now is broken loose springs on, it's completely rusted out, it's in a horrible condition. But it's old, I mean, it's been around here forever and a day, you know. So we are in the process, with Charlotte's help, we are in the process of seeing if we can replace that vehicle as we speak. So we're not, it's not a total loss or anything like that, but we are making ground up there. Under personnel, additional maintenance staff we prefer to effectively perform preventive maintenance, and I'll get into this a little bit more. So out of these preventive maintenance work orders, we have a total of 602 right now that are considered deferred. And what that means is that, say the frequency is 90 days, so if the particular preventive maintenance goes over that 90-day period, it's not completed in that 90 days, I move that myself into a deferred category, just so I can keep track of it. So this past year alone, this last fiscal year, we moved 208 of them into deferred maintenance category. Additional ground staffing preferred due to 24-hour work restriction, and I'll get into that a little bit later. Under the maintenance department, here's an organizational chart. I have 8 full-time employees. These people right here, up to Chris Reynolds here, those are all full-time persons. I have an administrative assistant. This person right here is a 48-hour ground, 40-hour per week grounds guy, but he only works 9 months out of the year. So on Thanksgiving, the day before Thanksgiving, I lose this guy and I lose all these positions here too. These positions are I have 4 24-hour positions. They work 24 hours a week for a total of 480 hours a year. So once they get up to their 480 or they choose to leave, this is like, it's a rotation position, really what it is. We have 4 people, they work up to 480 hours, and then they move out, and they will hopefully we can backfill with 4 more people. And we do have a challenge towards the end of the year to try to get people to fill those particular positions, because they are 24-hour positions. So you have to find somebody that's willing to work just 24 hours a week, whether they're retiring or whatever it might be. Then the paint crew is the last category there. And this is just summer work. We don't ever have a problem filling these positions, but that is another position. Next slide, please. So this is the work orders by school. These are the regular routine work orders that we completed last year. So you can see at the high school we completed 884. We have 22 left open. Probably since this report was created, there's probably some of those that are closed. But those particular work orders are things like we hadn't gotten to, like maybe a roof leak or something that we just hadn't. They're not emergencies, they're not critical. It's just something we hadn't got to from that fiscal year. So they transfer right into this fiscal year, and then we just work on it as we get time for it. So you can see we did 565 at the middle school, 395 at GIS, 247 at GES, 264 at CES, and 383 at Ball. So we've got a pretty good handle on our routine work requests. The next slide is preventive maintenance. Gallon effort. For example, we had, so total at the high school, we had 262 preventive maintenance work orders in last fiscal year. Of those, we completed 200, and we have 62 left remaining at the time of that report. So anything that will go past their frequency, whether it be 90 days or 6 months or a year, or whatever the case is, I will automatically move those into the deferred category, just so we can keep track of them. But, I mean, we've got a pretty good handle on it, but I would definitely like to get all the speed knocked out. That's like changing oil and rotating tires in your car. You know, if you don't do it, it's just, your equipment's not gonna last nearly as long. Next slide. The next category is health, life, safety. Again, they're performed by the ROE. They're done annually per building. So ROEs involved our custodians, head custodians, or one of the custodial staff usually walks it. State fire marshal, local fire departments, usually walk it. So with a lot more eyes on our schools, which is really a good thing, they actually find a lot more things. Compared to when I first got here, they actually find a lot more violations, which is good. They find it and we fix them. You know, that way we don't have air and safety violations. The way we process this, so every violation that they write up, we track it with the school. I write a school due for it, I assign it to an individual, and that individual is responsible for that one request. And it works really, really well, so. Next slide. So this is our annual report card for the last 5 years. As you can see, this is last year, this is this year, our grade is the same, which means that we either have no violations at the time of report for that particular facility, or we're making acceptable progress on what they have found in the past. So we're pretty proud of that. We have dropped a couple of them over the years, a couple letters over the years, but on the overall, just because they are finding a lot more items. But overall, we're doing really, really well in this district. So, these projects are proposed 1 cent county sales tax projects, and you're gonna see these projects again on the second or last slide. But what this means is that these projects initially, we want to take out a 1 cent county sales tax, but there will also be some excess bond proceeds going in to pay for some of these projects to at least a portion of them. So these projects are upgrade playground equipment at Ball Elementary, construct traffic relief lanes between intermediate and middle school, construct a steam lab at Glenwood Middle, and replace the West Chiller Bank at Glenwood High School. Now, all these projects, the architect has all of them right now, and he's in the process. All these are in planning stages right now. So we got an early start on it this year. So my plan is to have all these projects ready to go by the time summer ends. Next slide. Department accomplishments. We constructed a steam lab at Glenwood Intermediate, resurfaced and restriped the south parking lot at Glenwood Intermediate, and we upgraded the snow removal at Glenwood Elementary School. Next slide. Our next steps, and these are some of the same projects, but a couple of them that are not in here is I am working with Sangamon County to widen Chatham Road out in front of Glenwood Intermediate School. It's a pretty tough process. Just getting those guys to talk to you because they have so many projects going on right now. We did meet with them. Dr. Wood met with them, and I met with them. Liz, I think, was in there. So we did meet with the people, and we are making progress on it, but it's kind of a slow process just because the county is a busy place. And then finally, continue to upgrade snow removal equipment as needed. Actually, I've done that. We already purchased the equipment, but it did fall into this time frame, so next year we'll see where I purchased equipment. Chatham Elementary has new equipment, and Ball Elementary has new equipment. So we should be fully equipped to do snow removal for our custodial staff at our schools. Next slide. Any questions?
I have a question. You know, the construct relief lanes between Glenwood Intermediate and Glenwood Middle School. Okay, so that's on our property,
Yes.
right? The district's property?
It's north of the football field at the middle school, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay,
So we're gonna have to move some buildings and stuff, but
yeah.
myself and Mr. Lovelace have been talking about this, and it'll help his bus traffic considerably.
Okay, so all of these projects, recommended projects will go through the Facilities and Grounds Committee, and
Yes.
they'll talk with
Absolutely.
those board members, okay. Sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Well, as a member of the Facilities and Grounds Committee, I want to thank you for your crisp yet comprehensive presentation. I have one question, and that is, the 24-hour positions, Where do those limitations come from? Is that a board?
Ashley can probably help me out there.
IMR, you have to enroll individuals in IMRF when they work 600 hours or more per year, and the current IMRF contribution rate is like 9.45%. So the board has to pay that much on top of their regular earnings. So if Mike doesn't need, it's really a staffing issue. If Mike doesn't need people to work 40 hours, if there is not enough to work 40 hours, so you're saving money by controlling that cost of having them work.
Okay, I guess I would just ask you to put that on the agenda for the next committee.
Sure, absolutely.
I'd like to know more about it.
Absolutely. Not a problem at all.
I have,
Yes, sir.
for snow removal equipment as needed, you want to upgrade, but my memory is, we have some contractors for snow removal.
That's for parking lots only.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we contracted out just the parking lots only, so the sidewalks around the school are done by our custodians. And that's what this equipment is, it's just for that. Any other question?
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
All right, section 5, consent agenda items. Anyone wish? Oh, I apologize. Visitors, the opportunity to address the school board concerning any agenda topic item. Okay, now 5. Would anyone like to pull any of these items?
I have a question on 5, 9, 10.
So go ahead and pull them, and then we can discuss them. Would anyone like to pull any other items? No? Need a motion to approve 5.1 through 5.8 and 5.11.
Second?
Ashley?
White,
Yes.
Worley. Yep. Barry.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Gaylor.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. All right, we'll take these individually. 5.9 first.
I just wanna know what equipment they will get rid of and what they're actually gonna do, sell it for. It's just totally.
Do you want to talk to Christine if that's your item?
Hey, Mike.
No, classroom equipment.
Christine.
Oh, she's there.
So our PE department has changed greatly from last year to this year. We added a staff member and had one leave for another employment closer to home and another one retire. So we have 4 staff members, and they have really worked hard to create a fitness room, or we're working hard to create a fitness room that will help ensure that they're meeting their goals with the students. And so looking at, they've taken inventory of the equipment up there, much of it is broken and needs to be salvaged or gotten rid of. And so they have listed specific equipment that they want to get rid of, and then the specific equipment that they want to keep in order to improve the design and be able to use the fitness room in a more effective manner. I've got the specific equipment, if you would like me to read through it. Any other questions? Did that answer the question that you were looking for?
Then you have a question on 5.10?
Yeah, it says dispose of surplus and non-salvageable equipment, uniforms. Sure. What are uniforms from? Do we get ones to replace the Glen Woo?
Yeah, yes, we can, sure. We just have some old uniforms that after we pass them down, they become obsolete, and so then we have to request that they either dispose of, or as in the case of like girls softball, who have now, the new uniforms have come in, those old uniforms, I know they have some interest in buying those uniforms, so this would allow them to be purchased by them.
What about all the old uniforms? I think we
The old
replaced
what?
the band uniform. Didn't we replace the band uniform?
Yeah, we did vote to replace it, but it's my understanding that they're still using the old band uniforms because not all of the new uniforms have arrived yet, so they haven't quite effectuated the switch over.
This gives us some flexibility too. I know a couple of years ago we did this and we had a rummage sale at one of our home games where we tried to get rid of some of the uniforms out of the
So you'll offer it to the kids first? and then-
Yes.
That's all I have.
Need a motion to approve 5.9 and 5.10.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Ashley?
Maddox?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Brian? Worley? Yes. Sorry. Brewer?
Yes. All right, section 6, personnel consent items. Anyone wish to pull any of these? Hearing none, need a motion to approve 6.1 through 6.16.
Second.
Ashley?
Worley?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. All right, new business, section 7. 7.1, speech team competition to Western Kentucky University. Anyone want to elaborate on this? Is our coach here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Could you just give the board kind of a brief, what the competition is, just to?
We go ahead and we go to Western Kentucky University in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We see about 6 different states represented. There are a variety of competitors who perform exceptionally well. We also have people who are seniors who can then interview and try out for the team if they want to. So that's what we do there. I don't know what else you want on that kind of stuff.
That was, does any board members have any questions on this item? Need a motion to approve? Ashley?
Bryant?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Worley?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Barry?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. 7.2, approval of marketing resources. Doug, do you want to touch on this one?
Yes, sir. Requesting permission to purchase and pilot curriculum for marketing. It has not been, the marketing curriculum and text have not been updated since 2006, so they are very, very outdated. These new resources will give us online text, marketing simulations, projects, activities, assessments, other resources. It's a total cost of $800 to do the pilot for next semester, and the school and the business department will incur those costs.
How do we get that discount?
By asking if we could pilot the program.
Okay.
And then the 2006 book can't even be updated at this point. It's that outdated.
Anyone have any questions or discussion on this? Need a motion to approve? Second, please.
Second.
Ashley?
Worley? Yep. Barry?
Yes.
Maddox?
Yes.
Raj?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes. 7.3, fire and burglar systems.
Good evening. Probably not the person you expected to be talking about this, but I've been working with Mike and Charlotte on this for quite a while. We've never really gone out for bids for our vendor. We've used Georgia Alarm forever. We started looking at the cost of the service and decided that we would go out to see what else we could obtain. We put together some specifications, got bids from Georgia Alarm, Young's, and Central Illinois Security. You can see highlighted there on the top line, Georgia Alarm submitted a bid. They had an obvious error. We did reach out to them to confirm, and they updated their number. With that being said, Georgia's still the lowest bidder. Mike and I met with them today. Currently, all of our buildings operate under individual contracts for individual systems. So we've got about 17 or 18 different contracts within the district, all with different expiration dates. Very similar to what we had with Aramark, if you recall, some of you guys have been here. We finally got it all under one umbrella, so it's a single annual contract. That was sort of the mission here as well, was to try to get that done. Mike and I did meet with Georgia Alarm today. They agreed to do that, and they agreed to provide a contract that would start in December and run through June 30th, so we could get it on our fiscal year. And that would allow us to look at that annually, make decisions whether we want to continue to go out for bid. So at this point, we would like to recommend, talk to Mike and Charlotte, and we would like to recommend that Georgia Alarm stay our vendor with a new annual contract through June 30th of 2020.
And that total cost is the cost through June 30th, that's not an annualized number?
That is an annualized number, so our cost will drop through June 30th. We had asked them to give us an annual price so we could do apples to apples. But that is an annual price that will break down into monthly costs for us.
And then after June 30th, or we have to do another year deal, we get to be month to month with them?
We have the option to renew the contract at the same price. We have the option to go out for another bid. So we've left it so that the district has the most flexibility that we've ever had with this service. It encompasses not only the monitoring that the alarm company does for each of our buildings, but also all of our testing, our inspections, and our maintenance. As you can see, they've also listed their hourly wage rate. Mike had negotiated that some time ago at $58, which you can see is significantly below the other two.
Is there a comparative number where this is saving us, getting it all under one umbrella versus paying the 14, 15 different contracts that you mentioned now?
It's a little apples and oranges to have it all under one umbrella.
Okay.
They charge us essentially the same monitoring fee across the different buildings, but the contracts expire at different times, so as they renew the contract, they could adjust the fees. I know when we met with them today, they came up with a $19 average across the district, so that's what it's gonna be. Every building, every system is gonna be that amount. Yes, sir.
Is there an advantage of selecting the same vendor to cover both monitoring and maintenance? Because, and the reason I asked the
I had
question.
that conversation, yes, sir.
Because I see that the, one of them is cheaper
Significantly, yes.
for maintenance than the vendor you recommend, and I'm just asking a question.
I had the same thought, and I reached out to that vendor and asked them if they would be willing to just do the maintenance without the monitoring. Their reluctance and point blank refusal to do it was because it would require them during the maintenance that they have to interact with the central station of then their competitor. And it becomes your problem, no, it's your problem, it's your piece of equipment, it's our piece of equipment. It became a challenge, but that's exactly the conversation that Mike and I both had about, hey, you know what, why don't we just, you let me do some other stuff and just piece it out, and their reluctance was enough that they didn't want to do it.
All right, any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
Hearing none, need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ashley?
Bryant.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Rurash.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. All right, 7-4, speech language pathology contract.
Good evening. One of the solutions I think we have to the speech therapy staffing challenges is the virtual therapy. And the company that we have looked into is the Link Up Teletherapy. So I don't know if you know much about the virtual therapy, so I kind of wanted to explain to you all a little bit about it and what it is. And it is actually a delivery model of going through online. So it's a computer system virtual therapy, and a speech therapist is providing therapy through a computer system. And it's actually using the, it's called Zoom, and it's something that a lot of us use anyway in our classrooms or maybe used in your office, so I think it's something that we're very compatible with. Our plan is that we've actually strategically identified those students that would be most appropriate for this kind of therapy. And we've done that because we've actually, as a team with our speech therapists, our special education administrators, we have looked at those students that have the mild articulation and language disorders. So that this delivery model we feel like would be most appropriate for them. These also will be the students that would require minimal assistance because a lot of times with this kind of therapy, they require someone to go with them. we figured there's alternate ways to provide this for these kind of students, older group. And the plan also will entail education. We send out a letter to families and parents, and then we're going to set up a communication education night. So the cost associated with this, it's $2,205 a week, and that includes 44 students. Every student, in addition to that, is $65 per hour, and then it's $65 for screenings and evaluations. So these type of services, they can do evaluations, screenings, treatments, and meetings, but any kind of screenings and evals that they need to do or have to do, we will have to pay an additional $65 an hour. The reason that we went through the link-up therapy, other districts in the area are doing this, such as Auburn, Rochester, and South Bend, and they're going through presence learning, eLuma, and teletherapy, and they start at $75 an hour, and they haven't, one of them, eLuma, hasn't been able to find a speech therapist, and we have a speech therapist ready to and willing to start, and it's actually, I think it's $65 an hour for us is what it goes out to, so we're getting a cheaper rate.
I have a question. Okay, so now the selected students, are they accompanied by an adult, or do they go to this session and?
Sure, and they can actually, so the ones that we chose is the middle school and intermediate school, so we're hoping like at times they could have a secretary set them up. We've talked about even if we have a high school helper, we could be looking at college students. We're gonna have to brainstorm on what the best way is for them to do, but if they are independent, we can look at how someone get that computer program started and having them go to that, almost like going to a class or the office at a certain time, going to the therapy, they're logged in, and they don't necessarily have to have someone with them the whole time.
But there's an adult available nearby, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, there should be, yes,
appearing
readily.
to the student,
Mhm.
or something,
Just in case, yeah.
person, the student gets nervous
Sure.
or flustered or
Yes.
anything. Because I think that's really important that, I would be very concerned if the student felt, that while conducting this therapy, felt ill at ease for some reason, being by him or herself in a new surrounding, so it sounds like that's covered.
And one of the things that I think most people know, speech therapy has been very difficult. We've attempted to hire, it's been a tremendous challenge. Checking into other school districts that have provided virtual therapy, they've had success, they've had some challenges with it too. Matter of fact, the company that we've chosen to go with, it talked about, for example, case loads and what that might look like in terms of making adjustments. Because my greatest concern was, boy, if we're having a hard time, perhaps you're having a hard time. And unfortunately, what's happening is many of these individuals are going into private companies like this. And our goal is to have a human resource. I mean, we would love to hire and have a person in that classroom. But this is going to be a blended type service model to where at least our goal is to make sure that we can provide our students services. The school districts that we spoke with, once again, have said, they certainly have had success, but we're going to have to monitor that, and at the end of the year, at the end of the cycle, evaluate to what degree we continue or just service the way it's provided.
I'm unlikely to vote in favor of a contract that provides for teleeducation or correspondence education for our students. I'll tell you that my son had an experience with a correspondence course at GHS that was quite negative, and it was far from ideal, and I would call it experimental. I believe that our students deserve to have in-classroom training. Having said that, because of the remarks that Doug just made, it's my understanding that we're just having a difficult time finding someone to provide those services within the classroom. And I view these services as very important. So if this is the way to provision those services, then I'm going to vote in favor of it. But I do so with the hope that we continue to search for an in-person therapist to provide the services so that when the contract comes up for renewal, we don't need it anymore. If it's determined that that's the right way to go, which is my belief. But thanks for presenting this.
This contract's through June, is that accurate?
The school year, yes.
And we still have these positions posted, correct, Ashley?
Yes.
So just for a point of clarity, that it's in the intent of the board to hire a physical person to provide these services. However, we are having challenges accomplishing that at this point in time, and this provides a mechanism by which we can provide students with the services they deserve.
I am a teacher. Actually, I don't like online teaching. In fact, I'm offering an online course. But that's how the technology of the education system is moving, unfortunately. Especially things like speech therapy, we need a face-to-face person. Otherwise, it's not going to be an excellent course. That's what my thinking. But unfortunately, as we are not getting the correct people, so I have.
Well, and do understand, I agree, we've had that conversation, and in terms of the screen, just so for clarity purposes, there is actually a person. It's much like a virtual, conferencing, how you're having a meeting. So there is an actual person that is working with the student. It's just that they might be in Minnesota.
Would it be fair to say it's similar to FaceTime?
That's what it is.
Yep, a certified speech therapist doing it too.
Any further discussion or questions on this topic? Need a motion to approve? Second, please.
Second.
Ashley?
Barry,
Yes.
Dearborn,
Yes.
Maddox,
Yes.
Worley, yes, Bryant, Brewer.
Yes. Section 8, financial. We've got the 2019 tax levy presentation. Charlotte?
You want to go to the next slide?
Yep. Thank you.
So you can see that property taxes make up 71% of our estimated revenues through the budget of this year. In order to obtain those, we need to make a formal request to the Sangamon County Clerk for those dollars. If we make no request, we get no money, and I'd be fired. So that's why I'm here tonight, making this presentation. If you go to the next slide, you'll see the levy life cycle. So we conduct our analysis, we make estimates for existing property valuations and new property. In December, after the public hearing, I'll ask the board to adopt a resolution for the tentative levy as presented tonight. And by the last Tuesday of December, it goes to the county clerk for their processing. It then goes to the treasurer who collects it, and then he turns around and gives it back to us. But understanding the terminology on the next slide, I'll just run through these real quickly. EAV is equalized assessed value of the property. That's what your home is worth. CPI is the consumer price index. The levy is the amount of money a school district asks to be raised for the local property taxes. PTEL limits the increase in property tax extension. It allows the taxing district to receive a limited inflationary increase over the previous year's extension, plus any new property that might come on. The extension is the actual dollars that are collected. Limiting rate is calculated by the county clerk to implement the PTEL. The truth in taxation, if the current year's levy is 5% greater than the previous year, it's mandated that we have to have that truth in taxation. If we move to step 1 of how this is formulated, it's a simple math problem. And I go through this very simple math problem every year. In PTEL, the school district can increase the prior year extension by 5% or CPI, whichever is less. This year that happens to be 1.9%. In 2007, it was 4.1. The very next year, that CPI dropped to 0.1%. The 1.9 2 years ago, we were at 0.7. So you can see how volatile that CPI can be. I also want to note again that if we do have a property tax freeze, that $567,000, we won't get that. And that's based on the 1.9, so you can see how much we lose out on if it went to 4.0. That's still in legislation. I still keep my fingers crossed that they just keep talking. When we go to step 2, we calculate the district's limiting rate by dividing the increased extension in step 1 by estimated EAV excluding new property. This year it's at 3.8%. Last year it was at 3.81%. In step 3, we multiply the limiting rate in step 2 by existing EAV plus new property. And this is where I want to caution that that's a total guess. Assessor information is not due to the county until January, and we have 7 different town assessors that impact this. It's Ball-Chatham, Capital, Cotton Hill, Curran, Divernon, and Woodside. At the time of our estimates, Ball-Chatham and Woodside had not sent in any new property assessments nor information on new property. To protect a district, we try to maximize that and capture a high amount so that if it comes in lower, we maximize what we can ask for. And so far, we've been able to do that. But as I stated, this is simply a guess. When we go to step 4, the amount to be levied is 4.63% over last year's. We're under the 5%. However, we've chosen to conduct a public hearing annually. Last year, this percentage was at 4.67%. When we go to step 5, as part of the process, we allocate the levy request to various funds with the exception of Fund 30. That is actually our debt service fund. The county clerk levies those dollars, and it's based on our debt repayment schedules. When we look at step 6, distribution of the levy is based on projected need for those various funds. Due to the difficulty of accessing Fund 90, the decision's been made not to levy anything there. Dollars that we would have levied there are now in Fund 20. On the next slide, I want to just show you that there's a direct correlation between the EAV and the tax rate. So when the EAV goes down, the tax rate goes up. When it's level, it's level. When the existing EAV goes up, the tax rate's going to go down. Because when there's more property tax to spread that levy across, that is going to drive that rate down. So we've been fortunate enough that this district has had increasing EAV every year. I hope that continues. I know that's going to continue. This year, there was I think it's Spring Hill. Is it Spring Hill over there by Shields? That's coming on our property tax rolls. It's going to be split between 2 years. And we do have a new residential area that is starting to come online. So I see our rate continuing to increase or our EAV continuing to increase steadily over the next several years. And I want to note, before I ask if there's any questions, my future levy presentation will take place probably in April, when we actually know what that rate's going to be, not based on any estimates and guesses. Once we know that, we can go in, we have the opportunity to make adjustments between the allocations of those funds. So if it comes in less than projected, all we do is look at that, analyze it, what fund can best make those reductions. If it comes in greater, that's fantastic. I don't look for that to happen. The goal is to overestimate at this time so we capture it all. But we have the opportunity to make those adjustments in April. In the spring, when all facts are known, I'll come back to the board and I'll be able to present a final analysis of the levy with historical and comparative data. Are there any questions?
Any questions? Cal?
I missed something. On slide, step 1 slide. I understood you to say, Charlotte, that the increase is limited to CPI or 5%, whichever is less?
Yes, CPI or 5%, whichever is less.
And then on step 4, though, it says that the increase is 4.63%. So
Okay, those are two different things.
Numbers? Okay.
Two different things. In that previous step, we were talking about the Consumer Price Index, which is set by the Federal Bureau of Statistics. We obtain that number from our Department of Revenue in December of every year to be used for the presentation that I'm giving now. The 5% in this respect relates to the truth in taxation hearing. So if your extension is 5% or greater than the previous year, you have to hold that truth in taxation hearing. It allows the public the opportunity to come in and ask questions. Why do you need greater than 5% from the previous year? And we want to always make sure that we're under that 5%, but we also want to hold that truth in taxation hearing, so if the public does want to come forward and ask any questions, they have the opportunity to do so.
Any other questions for Charlotte at this time? All right, 8.2, setting the truth in taxation hearing, which we will be setting that for our next regular board meeting, December 19th at 6:30 p.m. I need a motion to set that date for the truth in taxation hearing.
Second.
Ashley?
Bureau.
Yes.
Maddox.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Worley.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes. Section 9.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for the
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you.
Very good.
Future board meeting dates. That January date of January 23rd for the regular board meeting is inaccurate.
Because we
That'll-
we want to do it on Wednesday.
Yeah, that date will actually be January the 22nd. Joe, Betsy, and Doug will be getting with you to get some dates published for our board meetings beginning in January. We will be adjusting the cycle slightly. All right, 9.2, opportunity for visitors to address the school board concerning any topic. Yes, ma'am. If I could ask you to come to the podium and state your name. And please keep comments to approximately 5 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Kate Marley, and I'm a 2001 alumni. My daughter Natalie has been a student at Chatham Schools since 5th grade. She's 14 and is a freshman. She serves on student council, assists many teachers throughout the district, and has worked hard in the special education room. Her father and I have been divorced since 2008. Since Natalie has been a student, one or both of us has lived in Chatham School District. We have always provided the district with court documents supporting our joint custody agreement, which includes an outlined 50-50 visitation schedule, as well as me being the custodial parent. On Monday, November 4th, I received a phone call from Jim Lovelace. He was in Mr. Joyner's office at the high school. I was on speakerphone. Mr. Lovelace said these things to me. Natalie has not been riding the bus to her dad's house. Since I was notified of this, I did some investigation and discovered you are in court for custody issues. Since you are the custodial parent, Natalie cannot go to Chatham. I should have her removed today. However, since there is a court hearing on 11/22, you have 3 weeks to move into the district or name custodial rights to her father. I explained to Mr. Lovelace that we have joint parenting agreement and Natalie has 2 homes. He then continued to tell me it didn't matter, a law had changed, and Natalie had to go to school where the custodial parent resides. I was confused and asked him to give her at least until the end of the school year. He said no. I asked for the end of the semester. He said no. He said he was being lenient by giving me 3 weeks. We went to court on November 15th, obtained a court order outlining for school purposes Natalie's address is her father's address. On November 18th, I received a voicemail from Mr. Lovelace stating the signed court document by a judge was not sufficient and Natalie was no longer allowed to be a student at GHS. I immediately called him back and had to leave him a voicemail. Before I received this voicemail and was able to be present at the high school, Mr. Lovelace and Mr. Joyner called my daughter to the office and told her she was no longer a student at GHS, confiscated her Chromebook, made her clean out her locker, and kept her isolated. I received a text from Natalie on her friend's phone relating what happened, and she was extremely upset. When I was able to speak with Mr. Lovelace on speakerphone with 2 witnesses, he said the court document wasn't good enough. He made another comment including to me, well, I'm not the one who put my child in this situation. He said Natalie's last day was 11/18. I left my job immediately and went to get my daughter. I requested Mr. Joyner at the security desk and asked why he would treat one of his students this way, and he had no response. I said shame on you for not protecting your student and not having a parent present or notified. I escalated this call to Dr. Wood. He called me back after 5, At 9:12, Mr. Lovelace called me to let me know that Natalie is now again allowed to return to school today, but made it clear he would be continuing his investigation. As a fellow educator, I am outraged that any child would be treated this way and felt the board needed to hear how my daughter was treated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board?
Yes, Tender Day. Hi, I'm Kinder Day. Thank you for allowing me this time to speak. I've been a paraprofessional for going on 3 years, 3 school years at Glenwood Elementary School. I love it. I've dealt with a number of different abilities, and I know that most of you are aware of the ongoing negotiations of our contract. So that's what I'm addressing. While I love my job, it takes an emotional and physical toll on our bodies. And to serve these kiddos with so many different needs and different diagnoses, you have to take the good days with the bad days. And on bad days, depending on the student, you could be physically or emotionally abused. But on the good days, you are moved to tears because your student is able to do something they weren't able to do at the beginning of the year, because you did your job, did your job well. And so I chose this district because I heard nothing but good things, and I was excited to work here. But honestly, I'm disappointed with the lack of support we seem to have with this board, and I could be getting some misinformation because it's been coming through the pipeline. But I'm angry because I work full-time and I'm not able to even afford the dental benefits that are in our dental package, in our healthcare package, because our healthcare went up 30%. And I'm angry because I'm not seeing the effects just affect my coworkers and my friends that I've come to know and love, but also these students that we serve. One of our students has had 5 different paras, and the next one leaves on Friday due to wages. And it hurts. We have no control over it, and our administration has no control over it, and they've expressed time and again that they appreciate us. But what we need to hear is, what we need to know is that this board appreciates us and knows exactly what we do on a daily basis. And so I don't want to have to work 3 jobs. I don't want to have to go to counseling because of all this stress. That's our reality. And I know I chose to work here, and I continue choosing to work here because of the kids. And I hate to lose so many good people that we've lost. And so I can't afford Christmas this year. I know that sounds like a sob story, but that's reality. And as we keep losing good people, one of our people leaves tomorrow, and one of our people leaves on Friday. And at GES, we've had a lot of other extra stresses over the last 3 years. And it's been hard, and it's been hard to keep morale up. But we try, because we love our kids, and we have amazing support within our school walls, and we have amazing support with parents. I can't say anything bad about that. And so as we lose more good people, I just hope that it's a wake-up call. And thank you so much for your time and for your patience. And thank you to the parents that support us. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Hey, we all know who I am. Miss Anderson here again. She just said a whole lot of everything. My kid goes to GES. My kid has suffered the loss of everything she just said. We put 3 of you on this board last year because we fought hard, because we didn't want what the teachers went through. And guess what? We're back to having a negotiator in this contract. This is not right, guys. not right at all. Where is our support for these paraprofessionals, for our kitchen staff, for our bus drivers? Where is our support for our children? What she stood up here and said about a little desk with the picture with somebody telling speech therapy, that's great for some kids. My kid ain't gonna benefit from that. My kid would take that laptop and throw it across the room. Let's face it. My kid's not gonna benefit from that. Not that some kids won't. My kid's not. My kid's gonna benefit from the bus drivers. My kid's gonna benefit from the kitchen staff. My kid's gonna benefit from those paraprofessionals that you all are failing big time. I've stood up here and pleaded with you guys over and over and over. No, we shouldn't hire the least of the least. Yes, we should bend over backwards for these kids, even though some things we shouldn't. These kids are our futures, whether you want to believe so or not. But you're failing every single one of them.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak tonight?
I said just something really quick.
Yep.
I'm Mary Meisner, and I just have a question about Maggie's, the speech, the online speech. I'm old school, so, but I get that our kiddos need speech. My question is, I was looking at the contract, and it talks about that we will provide a paraprofessional that will be able to offer assistance if needed during the speech services. Now, it's no secret that we're really struggling to keep employing paraprofessionals in our district. So I just wondered, is this a new position or that we're gonna post, or?
Sure, and so that actual language is for if we were going to service a diverse group of people well. We kind of strategically made it to where very mild, artic, and language, so we're not gonna need those students that were more severe, so it doesn't have to be a para. It could
Okay.
be- So, not an additional position.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Clarify that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Doug, you have something?
Yeah, this is, well, we don't, Kim Sepich is not here.
What do we do?
What do we do? Kim Sepich, this board meeting, this is Board of Education week. And so there were a collection of books that are provided, and all of the board members signed those books. Oh.
Learning consent. I don't want to interrupt
No.
Dr. Wood. I just want to say, I'm going to take Kim's place. Is that fair?
Wonderful. I
Okay, I
agree.
can't really do it, but just wanted to say, in honor of National School Board Members Day, which was actually on the 15th, we're going to call this National School Board Members Month. And as all of our schools, thank you to you, we have presented a book for you all to sign, to keep in our school libraries, to leave kind of as the legacy that you have brought to our district. It is our thank you, but it's also kind of so that we've got that remembrance of you and all that you have done. So this is our gift to you, but you giving it back to us too. So thank you all for all that you do. I know that you're going to get some writer's cramp from this, but these are some of our students' favorites, most momentous books that your names will be in for all that you've done. So thank you so much.
Anyone else wish to address the school board on any topic tonight? Need a motion to adjourn? Second? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.